The 36th MCU movie just came out on our screen, and like for the past 4 years, each time we hope that this time they won't screw this up and finally make a solid movie that holds the old Marvel level. For the past 3 months, Thunderbolts have been a hope for Marvel to create that feeling of old Marvel excitement before Avengers comes. My expectations for this movie were that, although we had the same concept of this movie as DC's Suicide Squad, the familiar characters from the old MCU gave me hope that the chemistry between characters would be good, because in this type of film, the chemistry is very important to keep the movie going. From the first trailers, I noticed there were differences between Thunderbolts and recent Marvel projects. It didn't necessarily give me signs to be the next Guardians of the Galaxy, but only from the trailers would the film promise to be at least exciting to watch. When I heard that in Thunderbolts, which mostly consists of ordinary hired killers, I was intrigued by how they're gonna defeat the Sentry, one of the most powerful characters in Marvel. The Sentry and the Void are respectively a superhero and supervillain. The characters first appeared in the Sentry #1 in 2000 and quickly became one of the most important characters, fighting along with the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. And finally, after 25 years, he appeared in the Thunderbolts and will appear in the new Avengers Doomsday. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has grown into a massive, interconnected web of superhero stories, but in recent years, some fans, including myself, have started to feel a certain fatigue. With so many characters, plotlines, and CGI-heavy battles, it's easy to lose the emotional grounding that once made Marvel's best entries resonate so deeply. That's why Thunderbolts came as such a welcome surprise to me. On the surface, it might seem like another ensemble team-up with guns, gadgets, and gritty action, which nobody cares about. But beneath all that, there's something more human, more vulnerable, and more real. In my opinion, the film did something more than just being a good movie. They took the necessary step towards the future of the franchise, and it succeeded because of one key ingredient: chemistry. What I was hoping for most was that the chemistry between characters would be good, because without it, a movie about useless and forgetting characters would be another Marvel disappointment. Turns out, that is what brings Thunderbolts to life. This isn't just a team of misfits thrown together for spectacle, there's a brokenness to each of them, a shared sense of loss, regret, and disconnection. And the film allows these emotional undercurrents to shine. One relationship in particular stands out: the dynamic between Yelena Belova and Red Guardian. Their scenes together are fresh, sometimes darkly humorous, and always charged with history. It is a rare thing in superhero cinema to see a father-daughter bond that feels this layered. Florence Pugh's phenomenal performance and David Harbour's charisma are a perfect match, and the film's core message comes from their story. To me, visually, Thunderbolts impressed me in ways I didn't expect. For a franchise often criticized for over-reliance on green screens and digital effects, this movie felt like a breath of fresh air. The decision to minimize a green screen and lean into real stunts and practical sets grounded the film in reality. It made the action sequences feel more alive, more dangerous, and more human. Watching actors perform their own stunts, seeing the actual strain, the bruises, and adrenaline remind me of action films from earlier decades when you could feel every punch. Florence Pugh even decided to jump off from the second highest building in the world. That attitude from the cast and director gives you hope for the future projects. But what makes Thunderbolts sticks with me isn't just the character work or the cinematography. It's the deeper theme that pulses beneath the action, depression, and loneliness. Unlike most superhero films where characters are driven by revenge, justice, or power, this one is driven by emptiness. These are people who have been used, discarded, and forgotten. They are not saving the world, they're just trying to survive it. And in doing so, they reflect a very real issue that many people face today. The movie doesn't shove its message in your face, but it lingers in the silence between dialogue, in the way characters avoid eye contact, in the hesitation before they reach out to someone else. It's a story about broken people finding fragments of hope in each other, and that makes it profoundly relevant. In the end, Thunderbolts did something few Marvel films have done lately: made me care again. And the film excited me just like the old Marvel. Just like I said before, just a little bit of depth for the characters was enough to make a solid movie like they used to. So, okay, we're done for the part without spoilers, and it's time to talk about the movie with spoilers. Basically, there are two parts of the film. The first one is funny, and everybody's joking there was no real threat. And that scared me a bit, because I thought for the millionth time after the endgame this would be a circus of a movie with nothing but cringe-worthy jokes and pointless pathos. But this time, they used the first act of the movie to slowly open the characters step by step, with the power of the Sentry, when whoever touches him gets to see his worst nightmare, and through that we see their struggles. That was to me a really cool way to open up the characters, not through dialogue but through showing them to the audience, even when it got too dark. And when the second part comes, we finally care about the characters, which to be honest I thought would be impossible given the characters. They were good in their movie, but still they were mostly side characters. Props to Marvel for giving life to those characters. Each of them opens a new side of their personality. Elena to me is the main character, because the main idea of the movie goes from her perspective, and in the end she understands the importance of helping each other in those dark and lonely moments. David Harbour's Red Guardian and son of Kurt Russell, White Russell's character John Walker, are presented as funny characters, and they are funny sometimes. Of course, not every joke was hilarious, it's 2025 Marvel. how can they live without some cringe jokes? But compared to other projects, this film holds up pretty well on the plot side and the comedy side. I would say that only Guardians of the Galaxy and the first Ant-Man were funnier than this movie. Man, maybe Thor Ragnarok, but it's arguable. And of course, return to the old characters like Bucky. I think he's here to just farm aura. He's like Terminator with a cool motorcycle and a shotgun. And glad to see
Sebastian Stan
back in the MCU. But the most impressive part of the movie for me was Bob, or the Sentry, or the Void, whatever you can call him. When I first saw the trailers, my immediate thought was how the bunch of lost, hired killers will go to defeat a little god. And as they said, he's more powerful than all the Avengers combined. The way how they handled it was okay given the situation. As Elena, Bob was also struggling with depression and had some childhood traumas, as we can see from the final act. Overall, Marvel seemed to figure out how to use him in this movie. Obviously, he will be in the new Avengers fighting along with them as he did in the comics. The other thing I was so thrilled to watch is finally, after so many heroes and superheroes trying to save the whole planet or universe, they're saving regular people. The scene where they block with their bodies to save people gave me more emotion and feeling of fear than any other saving of the universe in recent Marvel projects. That's the moment I knew that there's still hope for the MCU, and given that 2 parts of the Avengers are coming up soon, it's a good news for the fans out there. Overall, I was happy that Marvel and Disney started to care again. The past couple of years were a disaster for them and for the fans. I'm glad to see they're doing well right now, and I hope they will do well with the Avengers. I certainly recommend to go to the cinema and watch the movie. It is worth it. All this time, post-Endgame, all they have to do is fill characters with depth and a good backstory. Seems to be the solution for this film, and hope it will be for the future projects.